Street Talk and other stuff. Thanks for tuning in this fine August day. Glad to have you here. I got a great show today. I have had this one scheduled for a while. I've been looking forward to it. So you stick around, it's going to be good. But just a couple of things. I know that all 15 or so of you, my regular listeners, know that I used to work for the police department. So I got a couple police stories today. I once pulled a guy over and he was obviously under the influence of something. I didn't smell alcohol, but I knew it was something. So I said to the guy, okay, we're going to have to do some drug tests. He said, oh, cool. Which ones will we be testing? And then another time, I pulled the guy over for speeding, and he, on your license, if you have to wear corrective lenses, it says corrective lenses. So I said, sir, I'm sorry, you're not wearing your ticket. You're not wearing your license. You're not wearing your glasses. I'm going to have to write you a ticket. He said, but officer, I have contacts. I said, look, I don't care who you know. You're getting a ticket. Come on, these are good jokes.
I don't know.
Okay, well, hey, thanks for being here today. We're going to take a quick break and come back. I'm going to introduce you to somebody who you need to know if you don't know them already. But hey, Street Talk and other stuff. We will be right back.
When you've been in business for 40 years, it's because you understand change and you put members first, always. Now Works is announcing a change in their membership model. Up to 6 people on one membership that you can mix and match. The more people, the bigger the discounts. Introducing the Works shared membership model. One membership, friends and family and flexibility. Works, the cleanest, friendliest, most helpful gyms you and your friends will ever join.
There's no place like home, because home is where we're totally comfortable. It's where we can be ourselves and let our guards down. It's where we make memories, and we're always imagining new ways to keep it totally comfortable. Carrier, total comfort, totally happy.
Turn to the experts, Carrier and Alpine Air. Heat and air, call Alpine Air.
My name's Nick Dirk, and I've been a cinematographer-photographer for over 10 years. I got my start at the Wenatchee Valley Technical Skills Center. Without the Tech Center, I wouldn't have got my first job in media production 3 months after I graduated high school.
My name is Charlie Voris, and I own Vortex Productions. My work has taken me on exciting adventures all around the world, and I got my start at Wenatchee Valley Tech.
Hey, my name is Ole Mingo, and I'm the Executive Director at Heirloom Creatives in Wenatchee. I am so thankful for Wenatchee Valley Tech to be able to have my dream career.
Check out ClubProCashmere.com for upcoming events and tickets.
Okay, we're back, and I am very happy to introduce both my friend and our police chief, Chief Edgar Reinfeldt of the Wenatchee Police Department. Good to have you. Now,
good to be here.
Know Edgar well. We worked together quite some time. I don't think we were ever on the same shift.
You were never my supervisor.
Okay, right, and you were never my supervisor.
No,
because after I left, you became captain.
Sometime after, yes.
Sometime later, but knew you had a good reputation. But look, why don't you just tell people about yourself a little bit?
Sure.
Let's.
I'm entering, just about to complete 20 years of service as an officer here with Wenatchee Police Department. I started in 2004, but after, I guess my prior association with the police department started in May of '99. I started.
Yeah, go back to that.
We'll go back
to the
very
beginning.
May 1st of 1999, Friday of Grand Parade weekend for Apple Blossom. Walking to dispatch in the early afternoon. Was put with one of our really long-term dispatch folks who was really good to just start seeing what was going on. I sat next to her and took notes, listened to radio traffic, get used to the idea, because there was no way they were going to do anything live with me on day one on Grand Parade weekend, which was, of course, still the circus of fun that it always was back at that time. And it was interesting. Within 2 hours, I was hooked.
So you started as a dispatcher?
I did. Yeah, started as a dispatcher, police and fire medical. I was there until January of 2002 full-time, when I decided to do something different. I went to the water department and was a water service specialist. So I was utility worker, hole digger, troubleshooter,
you mentioned
whatever.
That you were a hole.
Yes, I dug holes for a while. Usually, with my luck, with a shovel. I was not trusted with heavy equipment. They were wise not to trust me with heavy equipment. I almost flipped over the front end loader the first time I drove it unattended, and was sitting there. It was on 2 wheels, and it just sat there for a second, and it settled, and I went, okay, so no turning corners with the bucket up, buckets down when you're driving.
Yeah, that would have been a YouTube video.
That would have been amazing if somebody had captured it. So did that for about 2.5 years, but during that time also continued working in dispatch, covering shifts, working special projects.
Yeah, because I don't really remember you ever really leaving. And when you told me earlier that you went to the water department for a while, I was surprised, because you were always around. So.
No, I stayed very present. I worked for Rivercom very briefly as a fill-in when they needed some emergency coverage. But when I left dispatch, went to the water department within a few months, I realized I'd made a mistake. Not leaving dispatch, but leaving law enforcement and leaving the family that is Wenatchee Police Department. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited for an opening. I waited about 2 years for an opening to come up, because I didn't want to work anywhere else. So when it did come up, I applied, pursued it, came out #1 out of the list, and then had the most rapid fire hiring possible. The department was up against the wall with a grant.
Really?
And if they had about 9 days to get me through the wickets to hire. Now the good thing is I'd been backgrounded before. I had my polygraphs before, so it was just a matter of sequencing it up, updating phone calls, and making some checks.
So did you have to be repolygraphed?
I was repolygraphed.
And that was with Terry Pippin.
Yep, and it was like the 4.5 years prior had taken a long time. This didn't take very long, because of course familiar with the concept, familiar with Terry doing it. And then September 15th, I guess 2004, got hired. Waited a long time to go to the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. I had to be put on the payroll, or they would lose the grant funding for the second SRO. And so I was put on the payroll, worked in detectives for about 2 months, and went off to BLEA and off to the races.
And how long was the academy back then?
It was 20 weeks at that point.
Okay, they bumped it up.
They'd been at 720 hours, I believe, for about 3 years when I went through. I was class 577. Crazily enough, the nephew of one of our retired officers starts BLEA today in class 899.
Really? Who's that?
Tim Jeffress. Nephew of Jeff Jeffress.
Are you kidding me?
So my second phase FTO's nephew is
my man,
is now
baby.
off to BLEA for Wenatchee Police Department to be an officer. It's pretty amazing. So I came back. I was a patrol officer for about 2.5 years, became the traffic officer really briefly for about 3 months, and then transitioned
the job
to detectives.
That all the citizens love, right?
I had a great time with it. It was funny. We were talking about Captain Murray before the show, but part of what I did as a traffic officer over that summer, I would grab a bicycle and I would go down and I would work traffic solo on a bicycle downtown. And it was shooting fish in a barrel for no seat belts and other things. Just bad running red lights, but people getting stopped by the bicycle. It was amazing to me. After 2.5 years of driving a patrol car, turning on the lights and siren, and having people not pull over, I got to tell you, a referee whistle on a bicycle, people immediately snap to the right and pull over, go talk to them, write tickets, not just talk to them, not write tickets. But it was funny. I remember coming back, Captain Murray one day, it's like, Edgar, you make me smile. I'm like, how so, sir? He goes, this bike thing downtown is just lunacy. I don't know why you do that. And he just walked away from me. It's like, you could stop me.
And this is something you came up with on your own.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was a great time. I'm not saying it was a smart time, but it was a great time. And then went to detectives. I was in detectives for just shy of 5 years.
Which job?
I was the generalist. So I never had any of the desks. So I will say I was the biggest trouble magnet that I think ever was in there. So I was the backup to property, backup to persons, backup to fraud as the generalist. But what really came of me being there was being major crimes. I did tons of serial property crimes. I had more than one serial rapist. All the murders except one that happened in my 5 years were when I was on call.
Okay, so when How long were you a detective?
About 5 years.
Okay, and how many murders actually did you handle?
Let's see.
'Cause
So
back when I was there, it was like maybe maybe had one a year.
and it was still about that pace, but then we added 2 vehicular homicides in that window,
Okay,
which were
all right.
really atypical, but we had the death resulting from a crash. They
Yeah.
were both vehicle pedestrian. I was on call for both of them. It was funny, we were averaging about 1 call out per call week.
Okay.
When I got to detectives, the entire 5 years I was there, my call weeks averaged 3 call outs, and my record was 9 in 1 week.
Really?
I got
Oh,
called out all 7 days, and 2 were doubles.
Okay,
Got called out for one thing, go home, get home about 11 o'clock at night, phone would ring at 11:30, go right back out and stay
Yeah.
out till 4 in the morning. It was a really interesting and just crazy time, but I learned a ton, not only about investigation and working
Sure.
cases, but also about supervision, about personnel management, about application of resources against problems, and then marshaling those resources effectively,
Right.
so you don't burn everything up and have nothing for the next phase.
Right,
John
exactly.
Cruz was an amazing detective sergeant and
Yeah.
taught me a ton about personnel management and about resource management. So after about 5 years of that, was a sergeant for 3 years, back on patrol, and promoted to captain, where I've been for the last 8 years, and then as of July 11th, I'm the chief.
Cool. All right.
So-
Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Now you are also a veteran.
Yes,
Right.
I'm
Tell
actually.
us about that, and thank you for your
Well,
service.
Thank you. So
Very much appreciate it. So,
no, I'm still a participating reservist with the United States Air Force Reserve. I have 2 months shy of 31 years doing that.
Really?
They will
Okay.
kick me out in 26 months. At 33, it's time to go. So, but with that, no, I'm a Chief Master Sergeant. I'm the senior enlisted leader for the 446th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron. Got about 160 people that work under me and doing maintenance on C-17 aircraft for global mobility stuff.
cool. All right. Great. So. You're a well-rounded guy.
I'm something.
You know, so appreciate
Yes.
it. So you like being chief?
I do. It's been really entertaining. It's 3 weeks. Thursday, I guess, or I guess it just was 3 weeks. It's a whirlwind of stuff. The meeting schedule went from my calendar having white space almost every day in it, where I need to do something. I can fill that in there too.
Yeah.
That's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Nuisances like this coming on here, whatever others. But I'm glad to be here. But it's. But with
Come
that,
on, he loves it. He loves it.
I do. But
You do very well. You know, the one thing you do with these public appearances, the speeches you make, stuff, you've always done very well.
thank you. But no, it's very, very busy. There's a lot going on. And like right now, we're down 8 officers.
Right.
Just not anything bad happened, just attrition. People
Sure.
retire. We had 2 people relocate because their spouses relocated. Their professions pulled them somewhere else.
Yeah.
So away they went. So we're a little low right now. So a big rush right now as well is hiring. And
Okay.
it's been really interesting to make 3 hiring decisions in the last week.
Sure,
And
sure.
another one pending and another one pending right after that. So we're potentially looking at getting conditional job offers to a total of up to 5 personnel here in 10 days. And that's just one more thing. Was able to promote 2 people already. It's
Cool.
It's
And
a
now
lot
you
of
have a
stuff.
captain's promotion coming up.
Yes.
You've got a captain's slot open.
We have a captain's slot open. So the week of September 16th, we'll be
on
testing
me,
again.
On me, you should not, you know, you shouldn't look at me as a possibility.
That's all right. I do still have your last overtime slip ever signed for Wenatchee Police Department on my desk. That you and I colluded on to anger a certain captain, and it worked.
I wasn't even working. I wasn't even working at the time, and I can't remember what I did. But
You came in and provided like suicide awareness training. I think it
That's
was
right.
the QPR model. You came in and trained
Yeah,
QPR,
yeah.
and at the end, you're like, "Boy, I should sign an overtime slip." And I'm like, "I'll sign it." I was a sergeant at that point. I'll sign that overtime slip. But I took it and gave it to Captain Dresker. He looked at me like I was a crazy person. Got kind of angry. I picked it up and left his office because I didn't figure on being beaten with a stick right then.
Dresker probably thought, that guy's lucky we paid him at all. We ain't
Could
paying
be.
him when he ain't working.
Could be. Yeah, but I found that just the other day, so
Oh,
it's
really?
actually front and center in my
that's
office
cool.
because that's a good bit. That's a good
cool.
moment in time.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Okay, so you've been chief now
Sure.
for just a couple of weeks. All right, what kind of things are you doing to, I mean, you're coming from, well, you were a captain, you're not really from the ranks. What are you doing to reconnect with people? Find out what's going on at the level where the work actually gets done. No offense, but I never went above sergeant, so I look at administrators a little bit differently than you might.
So the thing that I will say, and maybe almost to a fault, is that I am a people person, period. And we've had a long couple of years of the department with a whole series of critical incidents that significantly
Yes.
negatively impacted a lot of people,
Yeah.
including myself. And you know, one of the first things is to just openly acknowledge that 2022 was a bad year for us
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
department. It hurt a lot, and it hurt a lot of our staff, including me. I went to the psychologist. So some of the first things and one of the biggest things is to be very open about getting help when you need it, and
Oh,
be sure to
definitely,
communicate
yeah.
with
Right.
people that A, it's okay, B, it's really the only thing that's okay, the only thing that's going to help, and C, on top of that is maintaining connection. It's I talk to officers every day.
Sure.
You know, and it's not just they come to my office and I talk to them. It is literally circulating with the officers. It was funny. A friend asked the other day after my swearing, and he's like, "Why do you even have a gun? Do you need that anymore?" I'm like, "I'm capable of taking calls."
Yeah, right.
And it was funny because the
Yeah.
next workday went right out and ended up making a contact in the parking lot that turned into a call, that turned into a report, that did not turn into an arrest or any other action. But the fact remains, I'm still an officer for the Wenatchee
Sure.
Police Department.
Sure.
I just happen to have the one on my badge.
Yeah.
But it's very important to me to stay connected with them. We've had our first supervisor meeting. We have our leadership summit coming up to work on some goals and stuff. But underneath that, it's a matter of empowering our officers and communicating clearly what I need from them or what I want from them
Right.
to do some things. And one of the great things we have coming up, aside from National Night Out tomorrow night at Washington Rotary Parks and then at Cafe,
Yeah.
but we've also doing a recruiting thing we've never done before, sending a team led by one of our young officers to go to Joint Base Lewis McChord and hit one of those 30,000 people attendance job fairs and get in the mix and see
Okay.
if we can expand our recruiting beyond the highly effective word of mouth and one-to-one marketing is really working.
Right.
But we need a bigger pool of candidates. I always want a bigger pool of candidates. If I
sure.
could get 400 candidates squared up would be great. We actually had 60 in our testing queue this last time. We've been having 3 to 5, so it helps.
No, that's good.
But
Okay.
I think the biggest thing I can do is communicate clearly directly with the people doing work, not funneling it through 2 layers of supervision, and clearly state what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But more importantly is have them come to me with the right plans, the right thoughts, the right ideas, and set them on the path of taking care of that. And it's big to me. They don't work for me. I work for them.
Right,
My
exactly.
job.
Yeah, hey,
yeah.
all right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, now look, we
Yeah.
need to take a break on the moment, okay? But we're talking with Chief Edgar Reinfeld, the new chief of the Wenatchee Police Department, and we're going to come back, talk a little more, but we need to take a quick break. So stick around. Street Talk and other stuff. We will be right back. So.
Hey there folks, Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les.
To name yourself after the highest peak in North America? Maybe that's audacity. But towering above is exactly what the first ever all-electric GMC Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 is built to do. With 754 horsepower and up to a GM estimated 400 miles of range, it is the Denali of EVs. The Sierra EV Denali.
Okay, we're back talking with Chief Edgar Reinfeld, the Wenatchee PD, newly appointed chief. You've been there almost 20 years, you said.
Yeah, September 15th will be 20 years.
Good for you. Okay, and the end of this year, it'll be 18 years since I retired.
Time flies.
I know. Okay. Challenges in police work.
Sure.
It's a different world, both, I mean, not only when I started back in the mid-'80s, but when you started as well 20 years ago.
No, it's a...
What kind of challenges are you looking at, and what are we doing about them? So
it's wild. You know, you start police work, and I remember the police station was brand new. So
Yeah.
when I was hired, we'd been in the building for 2 months maybe. I think moved in July. I get hired in September. Go from when I worked as a dispatcher in the old station to now come to this new building. We got this new facility, and the building was built in many ways, and the holding cells are a really good example. We had our hard interview rooms, and we had these 3 rooms with a cuffing rail on the wall and picnic tables, like a one-piece metal picnic table, and then a bathroom, a prison-style bathroom at the end with a flusher on the outside with a metal toilet. Like, okay. And by the time I got back from the academy, the cuffing rails were off the wall.
Right, because we couldn't use them.
Because there was a change in case law.
And insurance,
And then within 2 years, the one-piece metal picnic table was also removed from the room, so now there was nowhere to sit in the rooms.
Right.
So now we had 3 heavily armored closets, effectively, well, 4 including the bathroom, which is exactly what they are today.
Let me give a
That's
quick
a tiny thing.
Yeah, let me give a quick explanation. We had these rooms where if you needed to have a prisoner held for a while you did something, you could cuff them to the wall. But then we couldn't do that anymore because we weren't technically a jail or holding facility, and insurance wouldn't cover it. So that's why. So I don't know what you did. I mean, we used to cuff people to the radiator in the old squad room at the old station. You know?
We did exactly what we do today. Somebody's got to sit with them. You keep them under constant observation. And the change that compelled removing the cuff rails was not just an insurance issue, but also there was a case law decision that said you could not handcuff a juvenile, no matter what they had done, to a fixed object.
Oh, okay.
And so we removed the fixed object to the rail. I believe the picnic tables coming out was a couple years later with the insurance going, you could still cuff them to that. There's no way to handcuff to this bulky table, but okay, tables came out. And so, yeah, they're armored closets. It's a tiny representation. The other thing, we built those rooms and we built 2 evidence garages next to them.
Sure.
Because at the time, we did search incident to arrest in the field of cars, and so we just search the car in the field, search incident to arrest, whatever other evidence is discovered, have the car towed or leave it or whatever. And so there's 2 evidence garages. We could use 16 today. There are times when we have 6 cars.
Really?
The downstairs parking garage,
Yeah.
where detectives and the chief and the director of Rivercom Park and stuff, half the time it's about half full of cars that we've taken for search warrants.
Okay.
Because we do search warrants on everything. And these are technical matters.
Yeah.
When we look to use of force, I mean, I'm not wearing my body camera mount or my body camera. It looks a little goofy on the uniform if I'm not going to be out in public talking to people.
Sure.
Where I might need it. But the body-worn cameras are a huge thing, and it comes out of use of force incidents and people's perception of use of force incidents and documentation and patrol car cameras that went from VHS tapes to digital to fully digital to all of these little nuances. But the biggest changes have come through state law changes where we were pursuing, then we could not pursue, and now the law just changed back to you can pursue for anything. But the problem is not if you violate the pursuit policy now, it's not that you're in running afoul of policy, you're now running afoul of law and potentially your certification as an officer. So the state and certification has become a lot more involved at looking at who should be an officer in the state and who's going to actually review and make that decision. The after-the-fact stuff, not the hiring stuff, but the after-the-fact stuff. And it comes to use of force, it comes to societal changes, it comes to societal views on crime. We had talked during the break a little bit the pendulum swinging, and we're seeing it. It's moved one way very far through 2020 and 2021, and it's hovering out near there, but it seems to be drifting back. And part of that, I think, we see evidenced in the way citizens are having a lower and lower tolerance for crime.
Right.
And we kind of see it openly. We hear it from people like, we want you to be more assertive in your action. Well, we have limits in which we work. And I think one of the biggest challenges for people, it's a challenge for me, is looking at the community and seeing, like Locomotive Park, for example. A large collection of people.
I drive by there all the time. I just wonder. I said, you know, what are you going to do about this? And yada, yada.
What do we do about it? The city's got new ordinances. This camping ordinance, this anti-camping ordinance is a pathway to it. The Homeless Resource Advisor that I'm part of the interviews for later this week is an answer to help coordinate activity between that and services. But realistically, where do police fall in this? When I was a new officer, I felt like we just did whatever it was, whatever thing was the community wanted. And the call volume was a high pace. We did some reporting. We do a lot more reporting now. There's a lot more documentation. Technology is good, but it's also a burden. The body-worn camera, the patrol car cameras our additional reporting burdens. And then we get to the point where we were very heavily social workers for kind of the maybe middle third of my career, where it became a really high part of it, and we're drifting away from that again.
You know, I don't call it law enforcement. I call it police work, because law enforcement is what percentage of what you do?
15 to 30%.
Exactly, exactly. So,
day to day. So, no, I think we're seeing a change now. The social work aspect of what we've been doing for so many years is not being put on the back burner, but it's gone back to more of a referral process.
Sure.
And part of it was just a lack of services in that area. And as we've grown some more locally, more agencies like Catholic Charities and the Rescue Mission and the Lighthouse and Chelan County's Behavioral Health Unit and Women's Resource Center and CAFE and all the wonderful things they're doing with recovery navigators and other touches they're putting to these different issues in society, our referral book is bigger than it ever has been, and we can use that. But at the same time, sometimes it's dangerous, and we absolutely need to be there, and we absolutely do need to be the element that deals with it, or it's destructive.
Sometimes it boils down to you're the only thing people can depend on. You know, there was a guy with mental health problems in the jail I was dealing with, and his family said, "Well, we called for help, or we called the police." I said, "Well, the cops." I mean, this guy, had the police not intervened, may have been a real danger, and sometimes that's the only option they have, is to pick somebody up.
It's the axiom that, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything is a nail.
Right.
The reality is we don't have that toolbox anymore. We have a whole toolbox, but there are still nails.
Right.
And sometimes it's there are. Sometimes there are still nails. So sometimes if the police department is your hammer, in addition to being several other tools at times, there are times when it is time for arrest. It is time for booking. It is time for some sort of forcible intervention to stop negative, dangerous, illegal, or flat out awful behavior that is causing a negative and destructive influence on society. And that, I guess, at that point, it is a nail. And us being society's
and sometimes
hammer,
you got to hit
fix
it,
it just sometimes it's the way it is.
And it's not always what officers want to do.
It isn't, and sometimes it's challenging. It's not. It's difficult to go to those calls, and you certainly went to those where domestic violence call is a really good example. Arrest is the outcome as defined by law.
Right.
And sometimes you still look at it and go, you're still breaking the system even further, and that's you're breaking this. You are doing just as much damage maybe as what happened that led to the arrest. By making the arrest. It has to happen. Not just because it's legally required, it's morally right, it's all of these things need to happen, it's ethically correct, it needs to happen. But there are consequences.
Right.
And so...
And I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I have to do that. I'm going to probably have to have the chief back on, but we need to take a break. I want to give him enough time to say something special when we come back, but we need to take a break, so Street Talk and other stuff. Stick around. We will be back with Chief Edgar Reinfeld in just a minute. Stick around.
Campfire North Central Washington, serving youth ages 3 to 18. Register today in one of Campfire's programs. Club members meet regularly with volunteer leaders to learn responsibility, sharing, cooperation, and citizenship. When a child is involved in Campfire, they will be actively learning and engaged in activities, encouraged to learn new skills, feel a part of the group, learn to work in a team setting, participate in planning, goal setting, and making lasting memories.
At Confluence Health, our mission is clear: to provide exceptional care for our community. We believe in healthcare that's personal and local, because we're just like you, members of this great community.
We are Confluence.
Local care by and for our community.
Local care by and for our community.
Local care by and for our community.
We are Confluence.
Okay, we're back talking with Chief Edgar Reinfeld, and I want to give the chief an opportunity to say to you, the citizen of Wenatchee, what do you most want to say to the people who you serve?
So I think the biggest thing, we've been hashtagging social media tags with "We are here for you." We are. Your Wenatchee Police Department is here to help you with what you need. But additionally, I want to say this for me personally. Come talk to me. Ask me questions. Walk up to me when I'm out and about. I've been in this community my whole life. I know so many of you. Nothing changes. Come talk to me, ask. And if you've got a concern or a question, ask that question. Don't let it fester. Don't let rumor take you. I'm here for you.
There was a very interesting thing that an officer back in the mid-90s, a phrase came up, and it was this: "We are your police department."
We are.
Do you remember who said that?
I do not.
It was me.
Well, then I guess we're in the right
I was
place.
the public affairs officer, and I did a lot of ads on the TV,
Sure.
on the radio station, and I said, but that's true. Hey, Chief, happy for you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good for the promotion. He's going to be a good chief for you and the citizens. So, hey, hang in there. We're there for you. Street Talk and other stuff. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.